I don't recall the exact night. There may have been a full moon. I may totally be fabricating that.
When was it? Probably about 2 months ago.
There was a party. I should put it that way. There was a party.
This was the beginning of the semester. Maybe the first 2 weeks of the semester.
It went a little bit longer than many of our parties do. And some people were looking a little hungry.
Yeah, it was this semester. Maybe like 3 months ago.
You know, it's like Faulkner says. He says, you know, at what point will I stop caring about everyone else and protect only myself? I think that's a question you have to ask when you're stuck in the kitchen.
I didn't hear about it until, late last week. But I'm sure it happened earlier. I'm always the last one to hear things around here.
I think I'm the last one.
I think, yeah, you were actually the last one.
Sorry.
You didn't even know about the rice cake incident until recently.
Until all these cameras started showing up. I saw all my roommates were being questioned about this incident, and I could only piece together a few elements, which were, I heard about a rice cake, and I heard that somebody took a bite out of it and put it back.
I really like chocolate chips. And I first learned about them one day when I was in the rice cake aisle and I saw them. And I decided that would be really good. So I took them home. The whole thing had about 16 rice cakes in it. I ate all of them, but the last one was the one that I was going into the kitchen to get. When I left it, it was still in the bag, but I had left the bag on the table. But when I got back, it was just lying on the table with the bite taken out of it.
So they bit the rice cake and then they put it back?
They put it back.
Why didn't the person eat the whole rice cake?
Well, at first I was like, this is my rice cake, and someone else ate it. And my immediate response was either a mouse ate it, but then that didn't make sense because the mouse would have taken like a perfect human mouth bite out of it. And then I immediately thought Henry ate it because, Henry eats my food sometimes. I went into the living room where Caitlin and Dieter were sitting, and I asked them if they knew what happened.
I was sitting in my room, and all of a sudden I heard Allison scream. I'd seen a package of Quaker rice crackers with like chocolate chips in them. I was sitting in the kitchen. They looked actually really good. I asked her what had happened, and she said someone took a bite of my rice cracker and like showed it to me. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, who would have done that? It's like, well, Henry, because Henry's the one who always eats everyone's food.
Perhaps it could be Henry, not in any malicious sort of way. There's been times I know Allison's been upset with the cheese grater that's left out, reflective of the rice cake incident, that it just is left there.
I was convinced it was Henry. Completely convinced.
How would Henry have done it? Well,
He would have probably been coming in from the gym, and he would have probably driven, so he would have come in through the kitchen.
you come home from some sporting event and be kind of hungry.
Henry doesn't have good kitchen manners. Leaves the cheese grater out. Doesn't clean it.
The cheese grater is left with the cheese in it for, days and weeks on end. And
He'll leave his quesadilla cheese all over the counter. He'll leave his dishes in the sink for a couple of days, and you won't clean them.
He kind of has a darker sense of humor, maybe. He likes to push people's buttons a little bit, tease them, grab the rice cake, and eat it.
I I don't know what his like motivation would have been for only taking a bite, which is something I thought about later, is that if Henry wanted to have a rice cracker, he would eat the whole thing. He wouldn't just take a bite, you know? But it just seemed like something Henry would do.
Well, there was only one bite taken out of it, so that kind of made me think it wasn't Henry. Sometimes, you know, food just gets eaten, and I just assume it's Henry because he eats.
Let's see. In my recollection, I returned home downstairs via the kitchen entrance, and on top of the table by the window, there was a stack of rice crackers. Sort of the bag was half empty with one rice cracker on top with a large bite having been taken out of it. Which, you know, for my part, was evidence enough, because if I had eaten somebody's food, then it would probably all be gone. I just sort of gorged myself. I knew I was innocent. But shortly after my entrance to the house, I was immediately accused. Allison asked me point blank, you know, did you eat the bite out of the rice cracker? So then I said, no, actually, I really didn't eat it, but she still seemed unconvinced as she exited my room and went back downstairs.
I went back to the kitchen, and since I didn't know what happened to the rice cake, I was like, well, it's ruined because it has a bite taken out of it. So I just threw it away, and we never saw it again.